Okay, this is section 6.8, translation. So let's take a look at this. Once again, there's one new vocabulary word. Please copy that, put it in your vocabulary notebook. Make sure that you've got all your vocabulary. And what we're going to do are translations on a coordinate plane. So we're going to take our graph and we're going to move things on there so that they're exactly the same but in a different spot. That's what we're talking about. So a lot of times they'll say a translation, sometimes it's just known as a slide. I just slid it across the paper a little bit, and we're just moving it from one position to another. We do not want to turn it when we're moving it. That's going to be one of our key things. You want to make sure it looks exactly the same. So here's the key. We got to have every point of the original figure moved exactly the same distance and in the same direction. When we're done, our image is congruent to the original. The orientation is the same, and everything else, everything's the same. All the angles are the same, all of those things, it's the same as the original figure. So if I look at my triangle over here, I've got this, well, actually let's look at the blue one as the original one. I've got my triangle XYZ, and to get from X to X prime, you have an arrow that would look like that. It's going to have a certain amount of points that go up here. Maybe that's 2, and maybe that's over 3. And whatever that is, we got to do the same thing for Z. So, we would go up the same amount, over the same amount, and end up the same distance away for each particular point. So we would plot each of the vertices, plot each of those points, and then from that we would then create a triangle in this particular instance. Okay, so let's take a look at this first example. It says copy parallelogram WXYZ at the right on graph paper, then draw the image of the figure. That's after translation of 4 units left and 2 units down. So we're going to go left 4, down 2. So let's go to a graph. Let's take a look at a graph here. And okay, if I've got my okay, how come I can't get rid of that? There, that'll work. Okay, if I've got my graph WXYZ and I want to translate that, and they said to translate it over to the left 4 units and then down 2 units. So let's take W. W is right here, and let's go over 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1, 2, and there's my new point for W. This would be W prime. For X, same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1, 2, there's my new X prime. For Y, over 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1, 2, there is Y prime. And Z over 1, 2, 3, 4, down 2, 1, 2, there is Z prime. And when I connect all those, hopefully it looks just the same as the other one did. And that looks pretty close to being the same thing when we're all done. So there's my translation. So in this particular case, I just simply moved it over 4 and down 2 for each one. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. If we go back to the book here and we look at the next example, it says graph triangle JKL. So here's my triangle JKL with vertices -3, 4, 1, 3, -4, 1, and then graph the image of it after translation of 2 units right and 5 units down. So let's go back to our grid and do that on that grid. So let's close that. Go back to here. Go to the next page. Okay, so here's my grid. Here's my triangle JKL with those points, and we want to move them up 2 and down 5. Now, since we have the original points. We have these. We can do this in a different way than what we did where we were counting over exactly. We could say, okay, we've got -3, and we want to move that up 2. And when you go up, that's positive. Okay? I'm sorry, it'd be over 2, not up. It'd be to the right 2, my mistake. And then the y-coordinate, we wanted to go down 5. So you're going to add in a -5 or subtract 5. We should probably really say plus a -5 here. So we should say 4 plus a -5. And so we can figure out, well, what is that? Well, -3 plus 2 is -1. 4 plus -5 is -1. So my j prime would be at the point -1, -1. So that would be right here. That's j prime. We can do the same thing for k. K is 1, 3. So we're going to add 2 and 3 plus a -5. So notice that's exactly the same as what we did there. We'll always do the same for every point. It's always going to be the same now. And so we're going to get, for k, we're going to get 3, -2. So I would go 1, 2, 3, -1, -2. So there's my k prime. And then for my third point, I've got L, and L is -4. So we're going to add our 2, and then we've got +1, and add in the -5. And so that comes out to be L becomes -2, -4. And so I go 1, 2, down 1, 2, 3, 4. There is L prime. And when I put my triangle back together, it should look exactly the same. Should look just like if we had slid this triangle down. How about if we don't turn it? If we just, well, anyway, should look like that triangle right down here. And other than the fact that I can't draw straight lines, you can see that that's a true statement. That's exactly the same as what I had before. Okay? All right, so now it's your turn. Would you please do those 2 practice problems here at the bottom or at that section here? So let me point them out here. Do these 2 right here. Put them in your notes. And if you need some graph paper, there is graph paper on the desk you should be able to get. So you're going to draw a triangle that's 4, -3, 0, 2, 5, 1, and then graph it 2 units down. And then another one's 4 units left and 3 units up. So take a minute, stop the video, and go ahead and do that. Okay, so if we look at this, it asks us to move it, the first one, 2 units down. It does ask us to write the coordinates of those points, so we want to figure that out also. So 2 units down is the x, or is the y coordinate. So what we're going to do is on this one, we're not doing anything to the left or right, so that's just going to stay the same. And we're going to subtract or add in a -2 units this way. And so B would become 0, 0. So there's my new, that's B prime. If I do, I guess I could have started with A. If I do A, and once again, we're not moving anything left or right, so that stays the same. -3 plus a -2, because it was down 2. And so we're going to get 4, -5 for my new points. So go over 1, 2, 3, 4, down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that would be my A prime. And obviously you can tell it's just down 2 from where it was. I mean, it's pretty easy. We could look at C and say, hey, we know it's going to be down 1, 2. We know it's going to be there. But since we also want the coordinate points, we want to make sure that we know what those are. So for C, you know, it's going to be 5 and then down 2, or subtract 2 from the 1, and we're going to get -1. So there's my points. And so here's my second triangle. that they had you draw. Okay, and then our third triangle, they want it to go 4 units left and 3 units up. So let's get rid of this stuff in here so we have some space to move that. Okay, so we want to create a triangle that's 4 units left. Remember now, left is going to be minus 4. And then 3 units up, that would be a positive 3. So that's what we're going to do to each of those coordinates. So for B, we're going to take 0 plus the negative 4. And we're going to take 2 plus 3, and we're going to get negative 4, 5. Okay, for A, and once again, I'm just doing this backwards, I guess. A, we're going to get 4 plus negative 4. It should be a plus negative 4. And negative 3 plus 3. So we're going to get A at 0, 0. And then C, we've got 5 plus the negative 4, and then 3. Oh, I'm sorry, C is not 3, C is 1. 1 plus the 3. Okay, so we get C is 1, 4. So there's my translation points. So here's my B, here's A, here's C, so I can put those in now if I want to. A is 0, 0, that's A prime. B is negative 4, negative 1, 2, 3, 4, up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And C is 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's my new triangle. So this was C prime, this is B prime, this is A prime down there. So there's my triangles. And you can see they all look the same. They've just been slid. One was down, one was up and to the left. Okay? All right, let's take a look at this very last part here. And just kind of a sample problem. Says something you might see on like ITEDs, ITBS, you know, or ACTs when you get older. And it says, okay, point N is moved to a new location, N prime. So we went from there to there. And notice that what we did was we went up 1, and we went over 1, 2, 3, 4. So up 1 over 4. So then they're saying, well, the shaded figure, this figure right here, where would it be? Which of these white boxes are hard to see, but the boxes are, there's one, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. Which one of those would be where that blue box would now be? So, well, we want to go up. Let's start at the very left of this. We'd go up 1 and over 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and so there's my upper left-hand corner. So this is my box that I would get. So C would be my answer for that particular translation. So the answer is C for that. All right, so you're ready to begin this lesson. Hopefully you understand this, and if not, just go back and kind of watch through it again. Go through the practice problems one more time if you need to, and I think you're good to go.